IVM.
कृपया ध्यान दीजिए, the language used on the podcast may not be fit for consumption. We warn you, tread carefully. But listen yaar, don't be so conservative. Yeah, apologies to everybody. The show is called Cyrus Says. We've won awards across the world in just 2.5 months of being on Earth with this show. But sadly, we started 2 minutes late because of Wi-Fi problems. I'm in a place called Mud Island. God forbid, if you're from South Mumbai and if you come to Mud Island, you'll need therapy, you'll need hospitalization, and COVID virus will not be enough. The vaccine will not be enough, rather. So just remember, this should never happen to anybody from my side of the street because the suffering will be unbelievable.
If you love cricket, listen up. The Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast is here for you. Hosted by DJ, Varun, and me, Ashwin, we bring a fun, fresh fan's point of view to talking all things cricket. Sometimes it's just the three of us, sometimes we have guests, including current and former international cricketers. For new episodes every week, check out the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast on the IVM app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Want to apologize to Anita, who's going to come on any moment now. Anita Agnihotri. I have studied everything about her. She's a poet, she's an artist, she's a very, very symbol of elegance. So in a word, it's like Beauty and the Beast. Her elegance against my lack of it. But keep in mind that under terrible conditions, Anita, of huge heat, I'm already sweating. The pain is unbelievable. There are 10,000 people working around me because we are shooting an adult erotic film, partly in Oriya, which I don't speak. Welcome and apologies for starting late to people as well as you.
Not at all.
How are you doing, Anita?
I'm fine. Thank you so much.
I won't waste time telling you how bad I am. But if you can spare a thought, are you in Kolkata or are you in Mumbai at the moment?
No, I'm in Mumbai now.
You're in Mumbai. Okay.
I came in the beginning of the lockdown, and then the airlines by which I was supposed to travel, they canceled my ticket. So I stayed on and we are together. So I thought it's best to be together.
Anita, which airline is this? I will take action against them immediately. I am very close to the aviation ministry as well as a couple of influential people in the PMO. So you just tell me.
No, they also refunded the money following a Supreme Court directive. Very nice of them.
The entire money? Because of the taxes as applicable, sometimes they don't give that back, as far as I know. So you lost a little bit on that. So be a little careful. All right, Anita, we'll just quickly mention that you started writing as a child. You've written for children, critiques of development, but you've also done poetry and novels. I'm referring to biodata, which is at my feet. So if my head drops in the middle of this conversation, it's only because there's no desk. There's no desk. I'm doing a podcast on a chair. This is like 16th century podcast. Just imagine if there was technology, but we were about 500 years ago. So I'll just start at the beginning again. Who is Anita Agnihotri? Is she a poet? Is she a writer? Is she an artist? Is she all of the above?
No, I started as a child writing poetry. And because I was lucky enough to write for Sandesh, the oldest children's magazine in Bengali.
Correct.
And luckily, Satyajit Roy, he was by that time so well known all over the world. He nurtured me. I never met him though, but he used to publish whatever I would write. So later, when I was in my college, I started also writing prose. Gradually, prose starting, side-by-side poetry. Then in Bengali, it was already like that. There is a demand for writing for children. Then this essays on development I write on my own. It just happened like this. Then I wrote some novels. So everything.
Let's go back to Sandesh, which in Bengali is pronounced Sandesh. I'm trying to get the right inflection when I say it. So let's understand, Satyajit Ray was still very much alive and part of this.
Yes.
When you had started writing as a child.
Yes.
And what you're trying to tell me is that the general standard of the Bengali child is equal to the North Indian adult in terms of intellectual capacity.
No, I'm not saying anything. Don't put words into my mouth.
There are people listening here wondering what I'm talking about in some outdoors. No, but did you as a child, did you know how great he was and that, this one of the world's greats is actually somewhere in your background encouraging you to write?
Yes, because we were watching his movies on the screen. Then he was writing a lot for children. His Feluda series started. He used to write science fiction for children. We were reading, and he was wonderful as an illustrator. In fact, when I wrote my first story after growing up, I was 17 then, he illustrated the story himself. He was such an unassuming person. He was awesome. But at the same time, he used to respect children such a lot. He would never change a word of what a child has written, without taking their consent. We have never had a...
Even if the spelling was incorrect.
I don't have spellings, but supposing the expression, he needed a change, we would always discuss, talk. Yes, as a wonderful person.
Yeah, that's a...
But yes, he was awesome. I never went to meet him really. I was quite overawed by his general presence in Kolkata. But he was very, very kind and loving. Yeah, he was very much there.
Coming on, and I understand Bengali culture is very much what you're all about. I have my own living Bengali right here, Kaustav. Unfortunately, because of COVID, he can't show you his full face. Can you hear him?
Yes.
But you can't hear her. Think, Balo, you're a very ugly man. I've conveyed your greetings back to him. All right, let's get back to your career. So you started young. There was no pressure. No, nobody said, Anita, come on, go and become a writer at age 8. It's just something you did. And what did you write about? Give us a little idea about what it was like for a child writing, who you were talking to exactly.
Actually, in Bengal, it is pretty common. Every third child is a poet probably. And when I had not learnt writing, I used to speak out my poetry and some songs, and my mother would write them down in a notebook.
So you would make up stuff at home on your own, and it would flow.
Yes,
not like normal kids would make up rubbish.
No, I don't know. This
with
must
due
have been
respect to
rubbish.
lots of children, no, it couldn't have been, because your mother must have realized that there's something in you. It was fluid sort of poetry, not the kind of nonsense verse that we do.
No. It must have been nonsense, but for parents, it is always wonderful. So she used to write down, and once I learned writing, I didn't depend upon them. I started writing on my own. But yes, you said about pressure. There is not pressure, but my mom was very keen. I don't know how she thought of this. A middle-class lady who didn't even go to college. My father was the only bread earner. She thought at least one child should be a writer. So as a kid, I used to tell people, carry a diary and a pen when I used to go to play to the park, and said that, I'll grow up to be a writer. So this actually happened in some way.
But Anita, how old were you as you say, child? What age was that exactly? When you would go to the park and write on your own? Were you like 7, 8, really young?
I started writing myself at the age of 6 or so, but it is at the age of 5 when I spoke out a poem, and it was sent to Subhash Mukhopadhyay, the then editor of Sandesh, who wrote a nice postcard to me saying that, oh, it's so wonderful, but I can't publish you now because you are not a subscriber. So when you grow up, we'll publish you.
Wow.
My mom kept the postcard for a lot of time.
So,
but it doesn't mean anything, Cyrus, that I started writing. Many children write early in life.
At 5, Anita, by the way, do I have to say Anita G, or can I say just Anita? Because
just say Anita.
I don't understand why we have to say G anymore, because people are so insincere. The respect doesn't come with it also. It's better not to say it.
No G for me.
So, but listen, Anita G. No, I'm kidding. At 5, I wasn't even toilet trained. And you were already writing and having thoughts, exploring art forms, probably structurally, were you correct? Could you write proper Bengali sentences and
sometimes you write some rhymes, and it doesn't mean anything, Cyrus, because at this age you are far ahead of me, far better known. So how does it matter?
At 5, I was just known as another boy in Walkeshwar growing up, which is, you please never visit. There's no parking. I'm telling you right now, never come to Walkeshwar, Malabar Hill. Horrible place. Looks like a bomb shelter. The roads are being repaired everywhere and they'll never end. We've been given a guarantee that road repair work will go on for 2,000 years. The civilization will end.
I stayed there for 3 years, actually.
I hope you've written lots of poems about the pain and anxiety of traveling in South Mumbai with all the holes and in what we now proudly call our bomb shelter. Let's get back to Anita's career graph. Then you turned to prose. So first it was poetry and then you turned to prose. All this as a child still.
I was growing up. I was in college gradually. Till school, I was only writing poetry. Then I started writing prose, which is not story exactly, but free prose in Mukto Goddo, as it is called in Bengali. So it went on.
Mukto?
Mukto Goddo. Free prose.
Just stay there for a second. My Bengali, I have to check whether you know what is free prose in Bengali? Mukto Goddo.
Goddo.
Goddo. He has no idea. Today's Bengali is not like yesterday's Bengali. Obviously, they're not inclined towards the arts. This boy is only trying to make money.
They're doing well.
No, I think he's got more of the Marwari culture from Bengal in him than the Bengali culture. But be that as it may, you were in Presidency College,
Yes.
which I had the privilege of shooting for a music channel called Matav, also known as MTV. And I always remember this story because they made such a big deal about it. They showed me the step on which Subhash Chandra Bose slapped the principal. I thought it was like a joke first, but apparently it was a big legend that happened where he stood up to a foreign principal. Oten. So, as a Presidency College person, do you realize that so many luminaries before you, famous names and all?
Yeah, but not so much that. But our teachers in the Department of Economics are very nice to us. They taught us so well. They even, offered to teach us after the college was over. And very nice. Nice place to grow up.
Anita, that's called tuitions. They charge a lot for that.
No, they never. They never charge anything to anybody. They would say, we don't go to anybody's place. You come and get your doubts clarified if you want.
Wow. You mean somewhere in India, there are teachers who are working for free just to encourage people to satisfy their passion for learning?
Presidency College is very different. Once we had exam in Presidency College, the BA Part 1 exam, there was no invigilation. The teachers told us that, don't expect us to invigilate you. We are leaving you free. And nobody copied. There is no question of that. It is very different.
This is the big difference between Kolkata and Mumbai. If the invigilator here said, do what you want, we're leaving you free, we're going for chai, not only would we have copied, but only one person would have been paid money to do all the work. And the rest would have gone to see a movie. Huge difference.
I'm talking about some 35 years back scenario where everything was same probably.
Anita, I just color my hair. We are exactly the same in age. Don't worry. I've been around I remember my first film was with Raj Kapoor. So you can do the maths. Going forward, you have authored, because there's some mind-boggling statistics and you're so modest that, it's difficult to push that out. I don't know if you can hear the aeroplane in the background, but the moment I mentioned your achievements, the government sent a plane with rose petals, which are falling in left, right, behind me, around me, which you can't see because of technology issues we have. Anita has authored over 30 volumes by now. 30 volumes. That's not one book. That's a volume. What is it total?
No. Books. Volumes make books here.
But obviously 30 full-size books.
Yeah.
Not the kind of books that I read, like Noddy and Enid Blyton, which are much smaller in size. 30 books. You've also won several awards. The Bangiya Sahitya Parishad Felicitation, the Sarat Purashkar, Pratibha Bashu Sahitya Purashkar, the Bhuban Mohini Daishi Gold Medal. How many awards have you won?
I don't keep counts. Why should I count the awards?
Tell me honestly, what do awards, do they have any, like there's some people who say you should, I know you're being modest, that you don't take them seriously and all that, but at the end of the day, as an artist, a person who's got a lot of awards gets a lot of vow and is measured by that. Is that not true?
I would say that it is nice to get an award. It is almost like you are on a lonely journey and there is a tree shade, you sit down there. An award is like that. But one has to also remember that I have no control over that. So I cannot network for the sake of writing. I have to be alone. Otherwise, my art gets mixed with a lot of other things which are not relevant. They are important, but I can only write.
This is exactly another difference between Mumbai and Kolkata. So you have no idea when you're getting the award and how you get the award. Here we have to approach, pay a certain money. They give you a receipt also for your award. And if you don't make it in time for the Filmfare function or whatever, they don't give you the award because you didn't make it in time. Somebody else gets the award. So it's a beautiful, the culture is a little different. I'll say that. So you're again being very modest. So I'll have to keep promoting how many things you've done. Your collection of stories, 17, translated by Arunav Sinha, received the Crossword Economics Award in 2011. 17, what is that about?
It is a collection of 17 stories. And the 17th story was called 17.
Okay.
It is about a 17-year-old girl. What a strange thing. And Arunav translated the collection. It was a beautiful translation. Arunav has again translated the same, this Sickle, the book, which is out now.
Anita, if you had a really professional anchor who called you on a podcast or a show, he would have read all 17 books and all 17 stories rather, and been able to ask you in-depth, profound analysis of what it is and that, and challenge your, memory and your artistic integrity and all this, challenge you on different points. You have me, unfortunately. So all I can do is look at the research and try and understand what is clearly a huge body of work. There is no doubt about that. You return the Bangla. Now we come to the more interesting parts for me because I like gossip. And Of course, it's about a terrible tragedy, but it is gossipy in terms of what happens in the art world. You returned the Bangla Academy Literary Award protest. You protested over the killing of innocent protesters in Nandigram, West Bengal. What was that whole story? Can you give us the background?
Well, you know about Nandigram. That is the time when this then left front government, they had decided setting up both the places. Singur, they were planning to set up an auto industry, and Nandigram was possibly planned for a special economic zone. But the way the entire thing was handled was terrible, because there was no genuine consultation with people, and everybody thought that this taking over of the land can be done very easily. I would say even the then chief minister was wrongly briefed, because bureaucrats tend to say that it is very easy, it will be done in hours. But what was most tragic, it, along with police, who had no reason to fire, by the way, because people were unarmed, the other people, I think they could have been the antisocial elements who were then part of the party at that place. They also were part of that firing team, and 13 people got killed, and it was terrible. It has never happened in Bengal. And not only me, many writers, many artists like me were deeply upset, because, we have been brought up in a culture which was shaped by the left, in the sense, the kind of things we read, the kind of movies we saw, Kshatriya Ray, Mrinal Sen, Ritik Ghatak, the kind of literature we read. So suddenly, I won't say that suddenly, the decline rot was setting in, but it was very difficult for us to take. And at that moment of time, that is the only thing me and people like me thought we could do. I also wrote an open letter to the then chief minister in a newspaper, telling him that this cannot be done. So that was it.
Was there a reply?
No reply, but
not even unofficial reply on a telephone or something.
There are unofficial ways of telling me that I was not correct, but it was not much. You always tend to suffer for some kind of, in some way or other, but this is not very important in my life.
So suddenly you became, not suddenly, but suddenly you were in the forefront as like a crusader, standing up for social injustice.
No, I won't say that. I would say that, these things, there is a moment when this happens. And I was not the only one. In fact, there are many leading writers in Bengal who did the same thing. Many artists did the same thing.
I remember.
And I was with them. It was not a very loud gesture or something, but the fact is we were very troubled. Even today, when I think of it, I feel a sense of course, far worse things have happened after that as well. But I was not a crusader in that sense. But as a civil servant, I have been always trying to be pro people, trying to understand them. And then I would say review my own conduct, taking responses from people. That has always been in me. I mean, it is not being in crusade. Otherwise, I would not have been in the civil service probably.
Anita, would you say that this is something that Indians, or perhaps many cultures of the world need to do more? Introspect, look within, do a check on yourself. I remember the first time in college, now this is before partition when I was in college, when we had to do a check on the teachers, like an appraisal of teachers. I couldn't believe it. For the first time after so many years of being, it being one-way traffic, now we could also look at teachers and say, he's good, he's not so good, I don't like this, I did like that. And I thought that was a really great idea, but after 1 year they abandoned it. But I thought that's really egalitarian and democratic. And you think we don't do that? We don't have like report cards about politicians who look at themselves and give their own report cards. Maybe the peers sit and do it. It would be great. Don't you think that would help?
I think it's very important, because what we have seen, that people who are confident, who think that they don't need any kind of looking back, they're absolute dangers to the society. People should always review their own conduct. I have tried to consciously do this in office, in writing, that what I wrote, is it okay? What I said in office or did in office to my team, is it good? And many times I found that I have been wrong and tried to correct. It is very important. And if we are a nation of aggressive, confident people who think we don't need to learn anything, then the country is in danger. I am very sure about this.
Anita, watch what you say. This podcast is very popular. I don't want any more trouble. And you said as a civil servant also, you have to watch which side you're on. No, let's get back to writing for a second. I understand where you're coming from. It's rare to find someone being so open and honest, but that's why you're a real artist, obviously. We'll have probably questions after the break, which we're going into, and they'll ask similar questions. How do you know? But I know this because people ask this question of writers all the time. How do you know you're a writer? How does one know as a young person? I mean, you were 5, so it's a different story altogether. Before you know it, you are a writer. But how does one know for sure that that's what you can do for a young, maybe teenager or person thinking about their life ahead?
I think one thing is that, whether you need to express yourself. Do you feel like writing or saying something? I had many small diaries in which I used to scribble, write down poetry, carry the diaries everywhere. But the second test comes whether you are being published at all or not. Supposing you write all your life and you think that nobody is publishing it, then of course you realize that you're writing for yourself. So somehow it has so happened that many of us have continued to write, continued to get published. And it brought its own reward. We have our readers circles, nice people who, keep talking to us about our books. So it has been a process which has kind of sustained us over the years.
When you said that, I immediately thought, again, it's spot on as far as I'm praising you as usual too much. I have this tendency, once I like the guests, I just go on praising them until they say, please don't come too close. Social distance is important. But we get this a lot. Some wife will tell me about her husband saying, he's as funny as you at home. He's really good. He's really that. So when it comes to comedy, singing, writing, because it's also an obvious art, a lot of people aspire to do it, but they don't make that climb. They seem to be in their own private circle pretty talented. A decent singer at the family function, a decent comedian is always making jokes in their little circle, but they don't make the jump, which you talked about, where you're published, as in writing. So that's the question. How does the amateur become the professional? How does that happen?
I think there is a fear of failure in everybody. You don't want to take the risk. The art in which you are in is very, very demanding. Like if you fail, you will fail in the presence of a lot of people. I tell you privately that my entire family is a great fan of yours. I've never seen you. So they are all watching with anxiety how I talk to. But I'm not a person who is good at speaking. I'm a writer. You leave me with pen and paper in a corner, I'm very happy. But the thing is that in writing, the challenge is very less. Supposing you fail, what will happen? You tear up some papers. If you fail as a musician, if you're out of tune, your neighbors will complain. If you beat a drum wrongly, somebody will complain. Writing, there is nothing. Investment, first of all. Now people use computers. I have still use for my major writing, pen and paper. And if supposing it fails, who knows? You just don't send it for publishing. So one point of time you feel that, well, it has become a part of your being. Like if I don't write for 3-4 days, I feel I've dried up. Something's wrong with me. Maybe I'm not the person who I was. I've changed. Then I get a real fear.
But when you write in your diary, it's not like for anybody else to view.
That was when it was early as a child. Now it's all open. I write, I send for publishing. And even if I write short pieces in the iPad, then people can see it. Of course, now things have changed totally.
Also, you can monetize anything once you're famous. You're a well-known writer. So Anita Agnihotri, so I suppose even 3 lines where you're writing the way to Shakespeare Saran is take a right from this junction and take a U-turn. You can publish that also.
No. I don't belong to that category of writer at all. I am not a kind of entertaining writer in that sense. I write very serious stuff. I have very limited number of readers. But good, I'm very happy with the way I've been able to continue to write. It is not what you write, but that you are...
Firstly, let me just challenge that. You cannot have limited number of readers because you've written over 30 books. You write in different journals, different styles. So obviously there's a huge cult following for you. And you're on our podcast, which is an award-winning podcast, still to win an award, which is a very rare category. We have to take a quick break. And then we'll come back and we'll get questions and you'll see just how popular you are here. But I want to ask one more question. Have you read any Indian authors in English of Indian origin? And if so, who do you like?
I have read, you mean translation or original writing?
Either way, but Indian writers.
Amitabh Ghosh, for example, I've read him in English. Then there are many others.
Any non-Bengali writers? I mean, there are a few.
I recently read a very nice, very thought-provoking book by Annie Zaidi. She's a young writer.
Yes, she was a journalist also. Yeah.
She has written a book called Prelude to a Riot. It's a very sensitive and nice book. I read it during the lockdown. So I do.
My God, you wanted to get more depressed during a depression.
No, it is every writer should read that book. She has used a very different style of the way she has handled the entire narrative. It is really unique.
All right, Anita, we have to take a quick break because I have to go back to that erotic film that I'm shooting. They're already making signs. I'm coming. It's Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, and above all myself. So I've already made them. Amitabh, I'm coming. Just stop it. Don't call me. Just understand, yaar. Seniority एक चीज है ना. They must understand all this. So stay where you are. We're taking a break, and Silvery is coming on, and I think we have some interesting questions now on how to be a famous writer, how to be a good writer, and how perhaps to deal with criticism as well, both from private personal support staff as well as the public in general. Here's the break, and soon we'll be joined by Silvery.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Would like to thank the sponsors on the network this week, CET. We really do appreciate your support. We have a new show on the network. It's called The Fighting Goat. And if you love fighting sports, tune in every Wednesday with hosts Arjun and Somesh. They also featured, by the way, on Cyrus Says this week, where the three fitness freaks bonded over their love for TV sports and sports in general. Tune in to This Round Is On Me, where Gauri celebrated her 25th anniversary with Kavita Rajwade, who is my co-founder at the IVM Podcast Network. They give us details about how this show was curated, and they talk about podcasts in general. On The Habit Coach, Ashton highlighted our addiction to screens, how we are glued to either a big laptop screen or a small mobile screen all day. He shared some tips on how to rectify this unhealthy lifestyle. On All Things Policy, Anirudh Kanisetti spoke to Pratik Vakre and Rohan Sheth about the new internet guidelines that were issued by the Government of India recently, and their impact on content creators and platforms. On the Filter Coffee podcast, Karthik invited Vivek Ram, who is a celebrated animation artist. They chatted about his stint with animation and starting his own studio called Vanar Sena, bringing to life stories from ancient India and his scriptures with animation as his vehicle. We had Dhanya Rajendran, the editor of the News Minute, on the Note with Maruk Inayat. It was a deep dive into the digital newsroom and the upkeep of truth in a fake news pandemic. And with that, let's get you back to your show.
Follow me at Instagram and Twitter on Bored Brocha. I'm so bored, I need your help. I need your love. I need your touch. Okay, just follow me. Good news, Anita, the break is over and Silvery will appear on the screen in a second.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, ma'am. Hi, Cyrus.
Hi. Nice and clear, Silvery. I'm Mud Island, like one of those smugglers in the 80s Hindi films. And
yeah,
really. In the middle of nowhere. Yeah. They always have a reference of Mud Island.
Yeah. So someone commented a very funny comment right now. Cyrus, Kashin Shetty said, "This is a commitment." Cyrus was on that bus behind him to Goa this morning, and even though the bus broke down, he decided to make the most of it and do the podcast outside.
Yeah.
#respect.
No worries. It's beautiful. Absolutely correct. But I'll tell you one more thing. I was just thinking, if you're a smuggler in Mud Island, then you bring the mal fine from the sea onto the shore, but then you have to go by road in Mumbai from Mud Island. You're never going to reach Chor Bazaar or Money Market or anything. You'll be stuck there with silver and gold or drugs for about 3 hours in traffic. It's if you're a smuggler and you're listening to this show, please don't use Mud Island. That's my lesson. But now let's go over to questions for Anita. Good ones, Silvery?
Yes. First, there's one for you, and then we'll get to Anita, ma'am. This one comes in for Cyrus. It comes in from Shri Vatsavaya Meher Abhinav. That's a long name. I'm just going to call you Hey Abhinav. AMA question to Cyrus. Who has the best voice in the Cyrus Says show so far? A. May, B. Naveen, C. Amit, D. Antariksh.
No.
And E. Abbas.
Oh, outside me? I mean, that's a horrible question.
Outside you, Cyrus.
You have to choose. I'm just thrown out of the question.
This is for you.
I think the most distinct voice is Abbas because he sounds like he's just woken up even at like 7 in the evening. It's just, he's got that drone, like, and when he's ecstatic and happy, he literally goes like, "That was good." That's all he's given me ever. You've got to hear. Abbas is another type altogether. Naveen is a bit like me, he's a bit hyper, so I can't stand him after 5 minutes. But and Amit has that American accent which is genuine. So Anita, I don't know about Cal, but in Mumbai, we have a lot of these guys from my area who go abroad for 6 months or a weekend to Malibu or something and come back with a proper accent, they think. but that's all fake. Yeah, it's a very bad accent. It's very bad. You can see through it.
It's amazing.
But Amit, it's amazing. I don't know why we do that. Indians go abroad and come back with their accent.
Yeah.
It's in the hand baggage or something. But a foreigner doesn't come to India and goes back sounding like, a Bengali or a Tamil. Why do we do it? Explore that. There's a sociological reason why do they lose their, identity? There's got to be a reason. There's got to be something about that. I, in fact, try to become more vulgar in my accent when I talk to a foreigner. So if I have a normal South Bombay, like this neutral accent, I'll make it more Parsi or something. I'll be like, what are you saying? Where are you from? You're from Australia. I purposely do that so I don't lose my identity.
I speak English like a Bengali and without any problem.
I love you, Anita. I'll tell you why I love you. You are exactly who you are, and I love people like that. That for me, you won me over. Firstly, I love Bengalis. I've grown up with lots of them, and it's a strong culture. So they don't fall back so much. They don't lose their accent. Bengali to Bengali. They're very clear about their culture and who they are. There's no sense of shame. You don't even have that in your DNA. But there are some cultures in India, some subcultures where we seem to have a shame feeling, and then immediately when the guy talks, I don't want to use the word white or Gora and all this, that's racist. But they immediately want to please that person by using their personality and accent, why do we do that? It doesn't happen with other cultures. That's all. Lecture is over. Over to Anita. Oh God, Sylvie's upset.
Sorry.
He's exactly that guy.
My internet crashed after all of the things that we had to go to with Cyrus' internet.
But don't worry, because you missed only me ranting and raving. Anita said nothing. I think she thinks I'm like, that child who's always, saying the wrong things or shouting loudly, but a guest has come in the house, so you don't want to say anything to the child. So she's been very nice.
You will see afterward what happens.
Oh my God. Amitabh! Go on.
Okay, next question comes in for ma'am. It's from Hemraj. He says, ma'am, when did you meet Satyajit Ray and what do you remember of him?
She didn't meet him.
I didn't meet him.
Okay, so you didn't meet him.
Why aren't they paying attention? One slap and
sorry. He said, did you ever meet Satyajit Ray? And if yes, what did you remember?
In the beginning, she said she didn't meet him.
I didn't have the courage. I didn't have the courage to go and talk to him. And he was anyway publishing my poetry. I was happy with that.
That's very nice.
I don't know. Maybe.
What did you hear of him though? Like, did you know people who were like close to him?
Yes, many of my friends, young friends, they used to do illustration, drawing, they used to write, they used to go and show him. He was very open to children. For some reason, I could not gather the courage to go to him. But I remember once, he liked a particular poem by me. He had apparently, recited it in presence of some younger friends. So that was a very happy thing to remember for me.
Nice.
But, whatever, there must have been other reasons, like logistically may have been difficult to actually meet him. You can't, someone has to know someone and through someone to actually go and meet him. But having said that, would you have liked to have interacted with him, obviously, over a period of time? You think that would have changed your life a little bit?
I do not know. But it would have been, he was one of the legendary persons who I could have met as a child. And his house was very open. He used to open the door himself. And anybody could go. And children used to go often. For some reason, I think my mother was a bit conservative. She probably thought I should not go. I also didn't raise it. So I was a very withdrawn person as a child. I was not like what you're seeing me now. I was a very lonely kind of child, writing and studying.
You may not, Anita, that is my life right now. I'm lonely, I'm writing, I'm studying, I'm trying to find new pastures to work in and all that. And I totally accept. Look at our karma. Yours as a child, and you flowered and blossomed into this artist. And I was a very loud child. I used to make all kinds of sounds during the night. No parent wanted to stay with me. And now I'm lonely and sad. And
no, you're not sad. You may be alone.
This is because of Botox. I keep smiling because my face has got Botox and I can't move it. My natural expression is more like that, which I'll have to show you.
But tell me, Cyrus, where are you sitting? Is it against a vanity van or is it aircraft?
Yeah. It is actually a vanity van, but my friend says it's a broken down bus going to Goa, which it might have been yesterday because they've given me the worst vanity van. I'm the lowest star in this entire group of people here. We have a caste system now. So then the size of the van, it's all about the size of the van. So my van, basically, you put your leg in and you cool your one half of your body, then you put the other leg in. It's like really small.
I just love that you called this the caste system. The cast of the show.
Double meaning.
The cast
Yeah.
system.
Yes, yes,
That's very
yes.
funny.
But it's actually like that, guys. But here in this business, I think nobody really cares. They all know where they stand.
Yeah.
Like if the watchman stops you, you're not a famous star, right? They're not going to stop Shah Rukh. He's going to just salam him. But he'll stop you and say, badge, ID. You know where you go. So you can imagine how many watchmen have stopped me. So much so I'm thinking I have a better career as a watchman because I know more of them than artists. Sorry, Anita, we're killing the questions that should come to you. Yes, Silvery?
Kashan Shetty asks, hello, Aji. A Bengali friend of mine once, do you know of any other Bengali magic that can kickstart my writing journey? I think this is the fun question.
A Bengali magic. So like a mantra or a, what is that word you youngster? No, you guys use that, like, is there some tricks of the trade you can teach him, Anita?
To basically get over writing block.
Writing block?
They want a quick answer. They want a quick fix, rather. The world wants quick fixes.
Read funny stories. Read Shukumar Rai, who is Satyajit Ray's dad. He has wonderful children's stories. If you read them, absurd stories about Hojawara law and all, Neda, a guy who would ask everybody, can I read out my poem to you? And everybody will say, no, not now, later. So
it sounds like me.
So read some funny stuff and maybe that's a trick, that will unwind oneself.
Yeah, so maybe what you're saying also is that go away from what you do. So you can relax your mind by going to another subject or writing.
Yes. And come back again.
And come back again.
Come back again, yeah.
It's why I watch synchronized swimming. When after watching cricket match where India is very close to winning or losing and the pressure is too much, I go and watch synchronized swimming where two male athletes in Speedo costume at the same time move their hand like this, then their hand like that. And that's so beautiful. Very nice. Anita is looking at me thinking this man needs more than the vaccine. What can we give him?
All right.
Silvery, you're clear now.
Yeah. Yes. The next one comes in from SV Abhinav. He says, AMA to Anita Agnihotri, ma'am. Did you find any difficulty in communicating or explaining anything to politicians when you worked as a civil servant?
Yes, plenty. That's why I got transferred so much.
Wow.
The communication failed.
Sorry. I shouldn't laugh, but it's actually sad that I'm laughing. I apologize. It is a social commentary of our times and our country and our culture that it's so obvious that you would get transferred for standing up. Huh.
No, actually for first 15 years, the politicians did not know what to do. So they would transfer me from one place to other, one district to other. And our policy, because my husband also was my batchmate in the IAS, we had decided we'll never represent against a transfer and we'd be ready to pack up in 24 hours to go to another place. So we never represented. After 15 years, they realized that she works hard, she's honest, and then you cannot change her. So they themselves reconciled.
But who is the they? Is it the ministry? Who do you answer to? That's another, this whole bureaucratic structure.
No, it's different. Like I started working as a field level bureaucrat in a cadre, which is a state where I was allotted, is Odisha. Okay. There I work in the secretariat. I was deputy secretary in charge of law and order as a young 29-year-old. And then I was project officer, district rural development agency in Sambalpur. Then I became district magistrate in a place. Then I came to industries directorate. There's a minister everywhere, the chief minister. And I am not known for speaking, mincing my words. So I would say what I think is correct. So some places they can agree, some places, but they're decent to me. They did not try to break me. They just said that, sorry, we are not able to have you here. So please, would you mind going there?
But who are these people? Who is above you?
Me. Okay, when I'm district magistrate, I have a divisional commissioner above me. Then he reports to a secretary of a department. Okay, above all, there is chief secretary of the state. That's the bureaucratic structure. Then there are the political executives.
Does the call to move someone come from directly above or right at the top?
No, it depends upon the situation. Like when I was organizing this, it picked up very well in the tribal district called Sundargarh. We started the functional literacy movement in which people enthusiastically participated. So much women came out in the streets and we are having literacy classes every day. We develop nice books. But politicians are upset. They said that if people are able to communicate or write, then what do we do? So that became a problem. When the election time came, all of them said that in this district there are 6 assembly constituencies and we are not going to contest if this collector, the district magistrate continues. So the chief minister called me. Biju Patnaik was a wonderful man, used to speak to me in Bengali. He said, Ma, tumi kichu mone koro na, I have to transfer you out. Otherwise, my party is up in arms. So I was taken somewhere else. It broke my heart because I was working so nicely with people. But it does happen. The problem with the civil services is that you're supposed to put all your heart in work. And the moment you are taken out, you have to be detached like you didn't know anybody. This is the biggest tragedy.
So being in the civil service is like me being in marriage. You just take the blows and move on. You don't argue. You just reinvent yourself every time. So you become tougher for it, if anything. But how amazing. Biju Patnaik himself apologizes and then transfers you. I mean, if he doesn't have the power, who does? To not transfer you.
But there are compulsions. I have faced it so many times in my own. I have written about these things also. My memoirs of the time when I worked in Bengali. So a lot of things have remained, in my writing. Things I have carried back.
Anita, you're not cynical and you're not bitter at all. But you talk about all kinds of things from Nandigram downwards, and they are tragic, they're sad, they're going on, the cyclical nature of corruption and this whole transfer system, which is such nonsense, really, if you look at it from outside, and should never happen. But you're very, what I like is you don't seem to be bitter at all about it. You're just taking it all in your stride.
No, because I started as a poet. Poets are very optimistic people. You look at Rabindranath Tagore. I mean, we still go back to his poetry today. And poets are very robust. You cannot break them easily. Even when I retired, I was like the young probationer who joined the Mussoorie Academy. The faith was not shaken. But yes, I'm aware that I could not obviously do whatever I was supposed to have done and delivered.
So your lesson, Anita's lesson for all young bureaucrats who go through this cynical phase when they're transferred, in spite of doing the best they could in the job, is write a poem.
Or read a poem.
Read her poem. Read Anita's poem. Let's see, do we have time for one quick one?
Yes,
Sylvie?
sure, we do.
Yeah,
we do. Next one comes from Siddharth Dabhowale. He says, how do you write books, ma'am? Are you the type of writer when you write, you write dedicated X number of hours every day till you finish the book, or you write when you feel the mood to write?
Nice question. Discipline of writing. Anita G.
For most of my life, there was nothing. I was a mother with young children. I was in a family. Work took the first priority, the family. And there are times when my child has taken away my pen. My daughter will be going to school, so I'm moving around with her socks and shoes. There is no dedicated time. But one thing I mastered, I write in one go. Even a novel, I don't correct. I can write a story in one go. I can write a novel without any correction. That is how I have been able to write so many books. But it is good to have a dedicated time.
Last question. And do you handwrite or do you type?
I handwrite.
I also handwrite. You're the last. You're the last of the handwriters. There's nobody left after us. Wow.
Yes.
And Anita, I have written 4 books which nobody has read. Should I punish society by writing a 5th?
You should. And you should tell me the name. I'll find out your books and read them.
I will. The first one was called Kal, Aaj aur Kal. Kal, Aaj aur Kal. No, Kal, Aaj aur Kal. Anyway, something like that. Who can remember? It's not Hamlet. I can tell you that.
I'd like to read them.
I'll make Silvery send you copies. I don't know whether the transfer will be more painful or the books. But
books
in the meantime,
can never be painful.
No, they're not that bad. A lot of spelling errors. You can correct it and send it back to me. But I have to run. So can you do a quick last one? Can you do one more? Yeah, one more.
Yeah, sure.
One more.
This one comes in from Harvesh Kasad. Hi again, Harvesh. He says, hello, ma'am. Bengal has a legacy of great writers. Do you have one who was your inspiration? Or were there people who were your inspiration?
I would name 3 writers. Of course, started with Rabindranath Tagore, then Bibhutibhushan Bandyopadhyay, an amazing story writer of Pather Panchali, the novel. And Mahashita Devi is the most immediate inspiration near home. In fact, the way she used to travel, write, and explore history, contemporary history, she is a big inspiration for writers like us.
Silvery?
Yes.
Oh, you're there. I thought you disappeared in the middle. You keep disappearing. But I will disappear now. Anita, do I have your permission to go? I have to earn money for my family, so I have to do all this rubbish shoots, which you have no idea. I'm so ashamed to do. At least you stood for your principles, whether you were transferred or not. I have no principles. I don't even know what I'm doing in my life.
Cyrus, I hope you get to Goa safely, Cyrus.
Okay,
Thank you, Cyrus. Really cheered me up today.
It's been my pleasure. Listen, I come from a good middle class family. When you have an eminent writer, I can tell my mother I did something good with my day. I met Anita today. So I have something nice. I can't tell her about the shoot where I'm dressed like a baby, wearing diapers and all that. It's pointless. She feels really scared when I tell her those stories. So this is something I can share with my family at dinner today, that I met Anita Agnihotri, the writer. This is what she's done. They'll start researching you, and they'll all feel good that their son is meeting great, intelligent and effective people in the world of arts rather than the kind of people I have around me. So show your face once. Let Anita see what kind of people are there. How do you say bye and thank you? Anita, sing you're cute. Come here. She sing you're cute.
Cute, yeah. Nice boy.
He said thank you, and he showed that obvious insincere, how we say G without meaning it. He did the same bend and all that they do for us. I hate that. Anita, thank you so much. Silvery, so much. Bye guys. Have a good day.
Thank
you.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, catch us on any of the podcasting apps, please. We beg you, we need you. Send us your questions on Twitter on Cyrus Says In, or you can email us, even if you're not female, on whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
Hi, I'm Zarina Poonawalla, host of the Empowering Series podcast on the IVM network. I happen to be a peak performance coach and leadership coach by profession, and I'm here to share with you productivity tools, life-altering techniques, and real-life hacks to help you achieve your maximum potential in everything you do, your relationships, professions, careers. So tune in every Monday to unleash your inner power. Be safe, be well, be empowered.
Namaskar, dear friends. My name is Ashish Vidyarthi. Life, as you know, is a journey. And you and I, travelers, how can we celebrate this travel? I have a podcast for you, Begin the Journey. I share stories and moments from my life. Do tune in every Monday and Thursday to listen to my podcast on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcast from. Cheers.